Ladies and gentlemen, can you all hear me? Yep. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. We have some people still arriving, and for those that are arriving, we welcome you. My name is Dominic Genoa. For those of you that I haven't met, I have one job and one job only. I'm going to try not to muck it up. I'll get off and get on fairly quickly. Thank you for joining us. For those that you don't know, we also have many guests online, about 60 people joining us online. My job today is to welcome you and to also acknowledge the special guests. But my problem is that I've got so many here. I didn't know where to start, where to stop. John Hart, Executive Chair of Australian Chamber. Lynn Lewis-Smith from ABEA Sydney. Paul Nicolau, Business Sydney. And of course our host, Jeff Donaghy, ICC Sydney. But then the list goes on and the list goes on. And I got stuck. So what I'm going to do is officially declare you all VIPs. And I welcome you all equally. As I said, today we also have, apart from yourselves, we have people online. And what's really pleasant about this afternoon is that we've got so much diversity with us. We've got business owners, MDs, executives, organisers, venues, suppliers, service providers, bureaus, tourism officers, but also people online in every state of the country joining to hear our presentation. But without further ado, I'd like to invite one of our special friends, somebody that's been a huge supporter of our industry and does so much for us. Our host, thank you, Mr. Donaghy, Jeff Donaghy, CEO of ICC Sydney.
Thank you, Dom, and welcome everyone, and welcome to those 60-odd people that are dialing in and hopefully can see me on their screens at home. A great delight and a great pleasure and privilege to have you here today. As we always do at this case, we always acknowledge that we operate this venue on the traditional lands of the Gadigal, and we conduct our business of exchanging information and trading and sharing stories and songs, just as the Gadigal have done right on this very land for tens of thousands of years. But to provide a great welcome, a traditional welcome rather than an acknowledgement, and I'm sure everyone understands the difference, we're going to show to a video which is used in a lot of the events we have here, which is our very good friend and colleague and mentor, Uncle Alan Madden from the Metro Aboriginal Land Council. So cue video, thank you.
My name is Alan Madden, Gadigal Elder. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge our Aboriginal elders, all elders, past and present, and pay my respects to all our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters. From whatever Aboriginal or island nation you may have come from, welcome to Gadigal. And to all our non-Indigenous brothers and sisters here today, a very warm and sincere welcome to you to Gadigal. Gadigal is one of 29 clans of the Eora Nation. The Eora Nation is bounded by nature's own, the Hawkesbury River to the north, the Peene to the west, and Georges River to the south. And in that nation there are 29 clans, and the clan's land we're on today is Gadigal. On behalf of ICC Sydney, the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council and the Gadigal mob, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Just in closing this short part of the presentation, I do want to acknowledge where the industry has got to with the formation of our new organisation, ABEA. I think we realised during COVID, previous organisation served us well for many decades, but what we came to realise during COVID was that we needed a much stronger, much more cohesive, much more collective voice to take to governments, either at a federal, state or even local level, espousing our cause and advocating for the needs of this industry that delivers so much to the economy and to societies and communities. So in the short time that it's been in formation, I think it's come a long, long way, and what today's all about is hearing about that. So my final and pleasant duty is to introduce the chair of ABEA, our friend and colleague Peter King. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and yeah, welcome everybody here today, online and physically. It's just great to see so many faces. This is, I guess, welcome to the end of the first sweep of the world tour. We've had a pretty busy few weeks leading up to this point with the arrival of Melissa, our new CEO. Maybe just stand up, Melissa. Melissa Brown, our new CEO, is here today, so she'll be speaking a little bit later on. But yeah, it's great to get to this point. So a little bit about ABEA, or the Australian Business Events Association. It has been about a decade, or probably more than a decade, in I guess fulfilling the dream to create one peak body for this industry. In the first instance, we've rolled in the exhibition industry, the venues, and the convention bureaus. So there remains quite a lot of other elements of the business events industry that we need to engage with and to bring on this journey. So I guess the organisations took the brave step to form, I guess amalgamate and to form the what we see in front of us today as ABEA. So it's been a hell of a ride. I've been involved in this conversation for many years, but I was out of action. I finished up at the convention centre in Melbourne at Christmas time, and was asked to get involved again back in probably about April or May, and I was just amazed at the amount of work that had been done by the board and the group of people who got us to this point. So the governance and the branding, etc. There's a massive amount of work that's been done to get us to this point, and on the 3rd of July we officially open for business. Who do we represent? Well, we've been very, very much set in the way that we are representing the Australian business events industry. Now, the events industry is a broad industry, and it can include major events and sporting events and all sorts of other festivals and cultural events. And a lot of the people in our business, in the business events industry, do engage in some of those elements of the broader event space. But we've chosen to focus very much around the business events industry and the economic benefits and the economic and social impacts that business events have. And that's what we're focusing on. And we'll continue to, I guess, redefine what that means. But, ultimately, it is all around conferences and meetings and corporate events and some of those things that are up there, big exhibitions, trade shows. But it's one of the things that's sort of been even brought home to me more recently with the last 2 or 3 weeks of travelling around with Melissa is just the diversity of our industry. It's an incredible, it's a great feature of our industry, but it also makes the storytelling elements of our industry a little bit difficult sometimes, because we go across so many different elements, and it's not a profession as in an accountancy role, or it's not a financial services profession. It's a business that goes from health and well-being and sustainability through operations and sales and destination promotion and infrastructure development and major relationships with government. It's an incredibly diverse industry of big players and small players who all contribute to ultimate prosperity of this industry. So it's a broad group, and I must say we've cast a pretty broad net on what we're looking at delivering on behalf of the association. But you can see there that we have a mission and a vision. We are an incredibly powerful driver within the Australian economy, and this is one of the great features, I think, of where we've got to at this point, is that we are now genuinely, we have a seat at the table. We are sitting in the visitor economy strongly with leisure, with the accommodation industry, with the airline industry, and we are the business events industry. And I think for the first time, it really feels like we can make a promise to those that work for us and that those that contribute to the business events economy more broadly, is that you are genuinely a part of a recognised and acknowledged and very important economic driver in the Australian industries. And so I think it's a great position for us to finally get to this stage. A lot of us have fallen into this industry from all sorts of different places and directions, but now I think we can legitimately talk about the fact that we have an industry that is strong, it's legitimate, and we can provide careers and strong career paths for the people within it. The 5 core pillars that we're focusing on, and we put together as a board a couple of months ago a bit of a strategy to be able to hand to our CEO when she arrived. So, these are things that we'll continue to work with, but you can see there's a lot of, as I said, it's a broad net. There is a lot of work we need to do around the research and insights that we develop and the data that supports the economic integrity of our industry. There's a lot of things we can do around industry development and professional development and networking, very important part of our business. Advocacy, obviously, once again, incredibly important at a federal and state level, and just the community impact that we have. So there's sort of the 5 pillars that we've landed on that we'll start to put a little bit more meat on the bone as we progress a bit further. These the values upon which we want to be considered is nothing new, I suppose, to what people put together these days, but it is built around a collaboration. It's an interesting industry. We are very competitive in nature, but we are an incredibly collaborative industry. And just going around and seeing all the people that I've got to know over the years, we do a huge amount of work together, whilst we still compete quite aggressively in some areas of the business. But the integrity, obviously, respect. We do want to make sure that we've got everyone gets a voice at the table. Innovation is something we'll talk about a little bit more as well. I was talking to Jeff and the team at ICC today. Australia is renowned globally for the innovation that we provide to this industry. The rest of the world invariably looks at Australia and says, what are you guys doing next? And we need to maintain that position globally. We need to be investing in innovation. We need to be investing in new creative ideas to grow and change the industry that we work in. And we're really well positioned to do that in Australia, especially with the combined resources that we're finding now with ABEA. Leadership, we will take positions around leadership. In a lot of cases, the state relationships with government and major stakeholders are owned by the respective states, and we're not coming in to step on anyone's toes, but we are an independent organisation that can provide advice and guidance to governments if required, which is sometimes a little bit difficult for some of our members who may be compromised because they're receiving some elements of funding through government. So we can be the independent voice for the industry. And the sustainability issue is one of the top 1 or 2 and 3 things that's coming through every time we talk to people about what they want to see from this association. Sustainability means a lot of things to different people, but however you wrap it up, it's critical to the future of this industry. Why we were founded, I probably don't need to go over this too much. I don't think we did a lot of research. We got a consulting group in to help us. It wasn't one of the big 4, so you can rest assured it was good value work. We needed focus coming out of COVID, as Jeff said. I think the significance of our industry was finally understood by a lot of governments and a lot of key people, but they didn't know who to talk to. We were a fragmented group. We had trouble talking back to government as well because we weren't a coherent group. We didn't have a single voice. So COVID sort of fast-tracked in some ways the position that we've got to today, but we do need to be focused. We need economies of scale. There's been way too much duplication across all of the various associations that we've been dealing with. We need critical mass to keep pushing and growing this industry. The market intelligence is critical for the future. We need to be able to provide meaningful data to support what we do, and coming together as a group allows us to do that. And the industry cohesion and having one voice, I think, is just so important. I won't go into this too much because everyone loves a good brand story. But we did a lot of work with Zadro, our partners, to talk about what the brand means and what the industry needs from ABEA. And it is about that united power, knowledge and purpose at the end of the day. The logo itself, we put together, it shows there the interconnectivity of our industry. We're all sitting around a table. There's the various elements of the business making up that circle. the colours and the style are all very professional and I guess demonstrate the tone of what we were hoping to deliver from an ABEA perspective. So I think Zadro and our partners did a great job in helping us to get to this position. So that was just the logo and rationale there. If you want to know any more about that, then you can speak to Felicity sitting over there. But you know, this is a part of the work that was done to get us to this point. Why we exist and how we can help you. Well, I've sort of probably crossed over this a little bit, but the education is one of the key things that's coming through from our conversations in the last few weeks in particular. If we want to provide career paths for our people within our business, we've got to be able to, you know, that's got to start at schools, it's got to go through tertiary education and TAFEs, it's got to go through future accreditation. There's a number of ways we can do this, potentially partnering with people, or we can, you know, create our own, whatever that may look like. But the underlying fact is that there's a massive skills issue in our industry, and we need to address it, and we need to find where the next generation are coming from and build the experience to be able to allow us to continue to grow the industry. So education and in particular around skill development and workforce planning and those sort of things are critical. I won't go through all of these individually, but I guess, you know, you're seeing there the words around, you know, strong and mutually beneficial, certainly representing state and federal government. We've already met with federal government, with the ministers at federal level, both Shadow and those in power. As I said, we've been in Canberra and sitting around the visitor economy table with all of the key elements of the visitor economy. So we've been recognised very quickly, and I think they're applauding the fact that we've come together and they've now got someone who they can talk about with regard to our business events specifically. Raising awareness within the sector and obviously feeding the state and the territory-based challenges and solutions. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So the association, one of the things we really needed to do was to create a structure and a governance, and I think we've done a great job on this in a pretty quick space of time, really. We've got a board, we've allowed up to 11 members, so we've got a couple of floating members there. We've got a great board who obviously, I've sort of been talking about the fact that they were the ones who were left standing around the table when the music stopped. And they are the ones who've done a huge amount of work to get us to this point. In saying that, we're very aware of the fact that we need to get the next generation involved in the future of this organisation. So the current board and my position as chair will all rotate probably over the next 1 to 3 years, and we'll be getting in some new independent people. We'll be getting in more and more breadth and diversity from right across the industry. So we'll be looking for the next generation, the next leaders, and that's really what we're doing in setting up these state chapters, and which I'll talk about in 1 second. The arrival of our CEO, Melissa Brown, has been a big feature of, you know, we needed to get a really qualified and experienced and professional representation. Melissa's hit the ground running. She's already doing a fantastic job. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy meeting her. And it's great from my perspective because I can back off now and let Melissa be accountable for the future direction of the business. But getting her on board was a critical feature. She'll now spend the next month or so building the resources around to support that function, which she'll probably talk about a little bit in a minute. The state chapters, the sector pillars and the special interest groups, you know, we need voices at local level, and we need a diverse group of voices. So we've appointed the chairs for the state chapters, and each of those are starting to reach out to various people that they can put in that chapter. They're not a big group. It might be, depending on the needs of the state, but it might be, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. We're not being very prescriptive in that sense. We just want to get a good collection of people in the chapter who can provide a local voice. And so, please reach out wherever you are in Australia if you want to be part of this. As I said, it's really important we get a new perspective and new views into this organisation. So the more people we can get involved in the chapters is critical, I think. The sector pillars, we've got venues, organisers, suppliers and bureaus at the moment. So we're setting up chapters that was very successful coming out of ABEA. So those sectors can represent the issues of that particular area. And we've set up our chairs in those areas as well. And then we've got our special interest groups around education, sustainability, work health, and those things there, life members, emerging leaders is very, very important. So I think we've got 17 chairs. So Melissa's, again, one of her early jobs is to pull that together and get some sort of consistency in the way we operate those and the way that they communicate and the way that they feed up through the CEO to the board with the issues that we see at the local levels. So, and I think a lot of those, the key elements of those conversations will then be represented in a big conference that we'll do probably at the end of about this time next year with a bit of luck. So I'll talk about more of that in 1 second as well. But so the structure I think is great. We've moved quickly. We've got some great people involved in setting this up now. But it's malleable. It's going to change, and if it doesn't work or different things need to be done to tweak it, we'll continue to work on that. The membership principles, obviously around inclusion, we've got a matrix which we didn't put up here tonight. A lot of work went into that matrix. I think, Dom, there's something like 16 different versions I think we got to, but and again, that'll be reviewed a little bit. We want to make the membership as meaningful and as accessible to as many people as possible. So if we need to tweak the categories and do those things, then we'll definitely be doing that as well. But there are different levels, different tiers, different benefits, as you would expect in any membership organisation. But we do, as I said, we believe we've got a very broad range of potential members out there that we don't currently engage with. So that'll be part of our strategy around membership acquisition going over the next 12 months and 2 years. But in order for us to deliver on this broad brief, we need income, we need revenue to allow us to build the resources behind Melissa to deliver on the things that we're promising. So it's just critical that we get people joining the organisation, and so we'll, and part of our job is to make sure that you get a good value proposition out of that. So we'll be working very closely with you on that. I don't think I need to say too much more about that. There's, as I said there before, we're trying to make it as accessible for everybody as possible. There is a whole lot of different ranges and different opportunities there, but please, if the size doesn't fit for any reason, come and talk to us and we'll see what we can do. There is a history in this industry, and we're respecting that. We've got our existing life members of each of the organisations will be acknowledged, and we've got a life members category or special interest group that'll sit on the side as well. We've transitioned all of our existing ABEA and Bureau memberships across. Largely, there's still a few little gaps here and there, but largely we've got most of that sort of key core membership across, where our budgets are looking better than we anticipated when we first did this 4 or 5 or 6 months ago. So that's been a really healthy sign. So yeah, all of these organisations have transferring their assets or in the process of transferring their assets into ABEA, and the venues, as usual, have been committed to the industry for a long time, and they've also put in all their contributions in. So we're sitting quite nicely from a financial perspective, which is great. But we know, as I said, we've got to drive that revenue in order to be able to deliver on the future expectations. So everybody, thank you to those who have put your hands up. Many of you in this room. There are a handful, I don't think, who have signed up yet, but the doors will be locked in a minute, so we'll make sure we get you before you leave. Dom's in the back corner there if anyone wants to go and see him with the that's right. But this is the challenge, I think, at the moment, is with the enormous breadth of issues that we've got in front of us. What are the key things we're going to be doing, and what are the low-hanging fruit? Where are the early wins? How can we get, genuinely start to provide a value proposition back to our membership? Again, I think Melissa's going to talk about this, but there's some key themes coming through that our membership are looking for, and we're going to have to really focus on this over the next 6 to 12 months to start to deliver that value. The levels of government and the levels of this was sort of interesting. I think we were very quickly acknowledged from a global perspective. So the Joint Meetings Industry Council is sort of the I suppose the ABEA of the world. All of the various associations from all over the world in our industry sit under this banner. We got very early recognition from Jamaica offering us a seat at the table, basically, to participate in the global conversation. Then we had UFI, the exhibition industry, ICA, the conferencing industry. We've had PCMA, we've had IAPCO, we've had VMA here tonight who we're talking to. But there's a whole range of people who we can potentially partner with to build on what we need to build and help them deliver on what they need to deliver as well. So that was incredible, and we're getting sort of global recognition for the fact that we've been able to create a peak body, a single peak body almost, in Australia, which all over the world, in Europe and the US, they desperately love to do what we've done, but they just can't get it together. So we're sort of being held up as the poster child a little bit, which again is just going to the fact that Australia's always innovative and always doing things first. So it's good from that perspective. And then we had letters straight away from the federal minister, from various state ministers, and as I said, a whole lot of kindred associations who are looking to align with us to help us deliver some of the things we want to do. So, the recognition and the sort of the wide applause, I suppose, of the fact that we've done what we've done has been very heartening. And I guess that's contributed to this, the fact of what we've delivered. I won't, again, probably go through all of these, but, Melissa's on board. We've transitioned all the members. We've got our Leading Well program going there with the emerging leaders, which we've taken up. We've got 17 stakeholder group chairs in place. We've been very visible. This is the second time we've been to Sydney, which is great. But we've done a couple in Canberra, Adelaide, Perth, Darwin, Brisbane. We're down the Gold Coast the other day. We've got Tassie on Friday. So we've been out and about everywhere, which has really been, again, everyone's loved that, I think, because they want to be part of this. They really want to understand how they can be part of this organisation. And so for us to actually go out physically and see them all has been really beneficial. And Melissa's going to be on a plane a bit over the next few months, continuing that engagement. We'll be setting up all of these respective meetings, as I said, and we're planning on at this stage having an event in December. It'll be done in each of the respective states, so it's not going to be. We're not trying to bring everyone together in year one. That's a bit of a tall order, but we'll try and have some sort of networking event in each of the states pre-Christmas, and we'll maybe have an online seminar or something like that for an hour or two before that, and then each of the various destinations can have their own drinks and get all the members together. We will have a very strong presence at AIM next year, where we'll be partnering and hosting a number of different things there. So that's obviously a critical event for our industry, and we'll be full front and centre at AIM. And then we will be coming out with a conference for next year where we can, structure a really great meeting for the whole industry to get together, probably, as I said, around this time next year with a bit of luck. But we've really got to come out with that pretty soon, so you can stick the flag in the ground and say, That's what's going to happen, and then we can build, I guess, towards that. We'll have awards associated with that conference where we'll come out and say these are the awards we're going to do in year one. We'll give you as much visibility to that as we can. So we'll be running with all of that over the next short period of time. So look, I think a huge amount of work has gone in, as we've sort of talked about. This is going to be the most sophisticated and professional association I think our industry has ever had, and with the group of people we've got associated with it now, and the group of people who are sitting around the edges who are wanting to support it, I think it's going to be in a wonderful position. With a great CEO in place, I think we're going to have a really exciting couple of years. The industry is looking good. We'll be doing a bit of a state of the union, if you like, announcement probably just before Christmas, or November, December, I think, sort of based on what we've seen over the last month or so. We've been and spoken to a lot of people in the industry, and we're getting a bit of a feel for how everyone's travelling, and some of the gaps and issues that might be in existence. But generally, we're back, and it's really positive, and it's great to see. So you need to become a member if you're not, and we'll find a way to get you on board and to support you. There's your QR code. You can jump onto that right now. We're going to do some Q&A in just a second, but I'm going to hand over to Melissa to introduce herself and have a few words. So, Melissa Brown. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a joy to be here. I thought I'd first just start with a bit of background about me. You've probably looked at my LinkedIn, but just to cover off, I'm so sorry that you've seen so much of this photo. But I started out in tourism many years ago, and it feels like I've almost come full circle. And in doing so, and doing all the jobs that I've done, I've collected bits and pieces along the way that has culminated in being in a job now that is a collection of all the other jobs that I've been in. So it's really, really exciting. So after tourism, I went into online in its nascent days, and then I went off into the media industry. At that point, then I moved to London and ran the Australian Chamber of Commerce, which is very similar to this organisation, a not-for-profit member organisation. And then I went into telco in Hong Kong and managed the marketing for Telstra outside of Australia, and then went into the States doing tech recruitment out of San Francisco. I planned to stay there a bit longer, but something called COVID brought me back to Australia. I'm actually a Sydney lass, but I now have the joy of living in Perth. I've got family over there that brought me back there when I returned from the States. So hello to the Perth people online. I will be back. And so my last job in Perth was in cybersecurity. So it's been interesting over the last what's been 12 days in the job, just doing the comparison and reflection of cybersecurity to the business events industry. And I sit there and think I was dealing with a product that was really difficult to sell. It's something that people only need in a crisis. They don't want to know about it. It's expensive. And it's really something that a lot of people don't understand. And then I look at the industry that we're all in here, and it's just so different. It's an awesome product. If we had the blinds up, just what we've got to sell is just incredible. If you can't sell that outside, it's a worry. And we've got so much information sharing, so much knowledge, and so much exciting innovation that goes on. And to top that off, the people are another aspect. Dealing with spies and people that don't want to share any information is very different to people who are in the market here, who are just so good at collaborating and so good at helping each other out, even though, as Peter said, you're so often in such a competitive situation. So All in all, it's a real pleasure and an honour to take the role on and represent the industry. I've got a lot to learn, and so please always come and let me know if there's anything you think I need to know, or places I need to be, or things I need to attend. So what's up ahead? I've clearly got a lot to do. So the first 90-day plan we've put together, I want to work through that with the team. Dom has been incredible, and I want to thank him for steering the ship to date while we've been running around the country as well. But getting some runs on the board, the biggest thing is getting a team in place. So it's just really getting the member services up and running is critical. So as members, it's a member organisation. It's all about you as members. So what do we need to do to really give you value and impact? And then whether or not there's other key people that we need to bring on for other aspects to deliver on those services. So as Peter said, in the last couple of weeks going around the country, it's been fascinating talking to different people, some of who are in the room here today, and just finding out what are the things that are common across the whole industry. So you can never please everyone or be all things to all people, but some of the work that's already been done, it's great to see that validated. So the economic impact piece is enormous, and I was in Canberra and meeting with Sam, who's here today, talking about the work that the government's doing around research. But it's really clear that as an industry, if we want to get recognition, if we want to get funding, we have to have that data to back us up. And so whether that comes through various sources on a state or national basis, we'll work through that. But it's clear that we need that to back and validate ourselves. And I think the next area that to back all of the economic impact and the tail end of what we give back to the communities and so forth is around the professional skills and so forth in the industry. As Peter was saying, building a real industry that people feel they can have a career in and know that they can work on something that's really delivering a return for the economy. And it seems that there's a real swathe of people that have left the industry over COVID and aren't necessarily coming back. So how do we introduce new people back in? How do we train people and fill those skills gaps? There's pockets of really great training and professional development that goes on, but how do we smooth that out so that it's something consistent? The third area that I think is coming through loud and strong is sustainability, which Peter mentioned, and it's such a huge area. Is that waste management for a conference, or is it about the carbon footprint we've got with the aircraft coming into Australia? So what do we need to grapple with there and work on? And that's why we've got all the chapters and the pillars to help us get to that point. And it's going to have to be a short-term, medium-term, long-term approach because we can't do it all at once. And those pillars and chapters and sectors, groups, will be important in bubbling up what I need to take forward or as a group we need to work on and add on to that to-do list to get done. And as Peter mentioned, it can be a moving feast. There's going to be things I think that might shift along the way. I hope that over the next I'd say 9 months, so take us through the end of this financial year, we'll be in a position where we've got the team in place that's going to really be working on those key areas that we're going to have to focus on. And that's my job, to get that running and get those people on board. And whether they come from within the industry or outside, we'll yet to see. There's also the opportunity, I think, to do partnerships or to work with people who are specialists in particular groups. So we may not need to hire someone in a particular area of focus. It might be best that we're getting that intelligence or that support from a partner that we can work with. So what I say is that we're very open for collaboration. The door is open for conversations. One of the directors says it's a bit like a gym membership. You don't just get a gym membership and instantly get fit. So please get involved, jump on board, and if you're not in it, then you won't get much out of it. And I think similarly to a gym membership, if there's a particular area that you want to see focused on or that you want to get involved in. It's, say, for example, the circuit class that's not in existence at the gym, get involved and rattle the cage and get others that are interested in that topic as well, because otherwise it won't come to the fore, it won't be brought up, and that's what we want to do. So yes, please reach out. I'm really, really looking forward to meeting lots of people. I've got more travel, upcoming travel to do and visit some other cities, but I really like to have the conversations that I've been having over the last couple of weeks to get an understanding, one, about your business and what you're doing, and the things that you think might be common to others, either in your sector or in your state or region, that can really be taken and we can facilitate or leverage for you across Australia. Yes, thank you for the welcome arms that have been wrapped around me, and I will do everything in my power not to disappoint you and to really, really take this into a fantastic future. So thank you.
All right, very good. Look, we're open for Q&A now if you'd like to. So Melissa, you might have to join me up here in case someone wants to ask a hard question. But yeah, very happy to take any questions about any questions you've got in relation to what we've seen tonight.
Quite good. You all want a drink, don't you? Out the balcony in that beautiful sunshine.
Yeah, look, as I said, is there anything coming out from outside, Dom? Or no?
Nothing at the moment.
No, that's
The
good.
Mark
States
Harvey
are
might
quiet.
have a question for you, Mr. Harvey.
Oh, there you go.
Right at the back here.
He's dobbed on someone.
I'm a man of very few words. I don't have a question.
He asked all
Sorry,
of
not
his
even Mark.
questions when I met him the other day.
We had a good session. Anybody? Okay, right, one here.
Hi, I'm Corey from One Fund Collective. We're predominantly a consumer exhibition company. And during COVID, we found that we applied for every single possible bit of government help and didn't get anything because we're a consumer events and everything seemed to be aimed at business events. So it worries us a little bit that this is called business, about business events, and just wanted to know how much support do consumer events get, not being traditionally business to business, but still business to consumer. So we just don't want to get left out of this.
Yeah, I would have thought business to consumer was a business event. So yeah, I know. Look, from a government perspective, we have the avenues in, so we can get the cut through and get to who we need to get to, which is one of the issues around COVID. We just couldn't find our way through the maze, and they couldn't find us. So we've now got the cut through, so we can certainly represent you definitively to government. But it goes to that definitional thing. I mean, B2C is a really big part of our industry. It's not. It shouldn't be in any way not considered part of business events as far as I'm concerned. So maybe that's just an ongoing communication issue, and a lot of what we do in this industry is getting a message, and maybe even just a set of single messages and just repeating them and repeating them and repeating them. And if we're all talking along the same lines and repeating that same message, then eventually it does get through. But it has its challenges explaining the diversity of what we do, but the benefits and the breadth of the industry is just such a great feature of the industry that we need to be talking that up as much as we can. So yell out if you've got a specific issue, for sure.
Ben?
Lynn Lewis-Smith from Business Events Sydney. Great to have you on board, Melissa. Really refreshing to see your vision and strategy moving forward and all the hard work that's been done prior to you coming on with Peter at the chair and all the board. I come back to data, and we've got the EY numbers, and we've had them for quite some time. We are going to have to keep advocating, even if it's state or federal. We're all going through elections and budgets being handed down today. It's going to take a while to get the data, and we're going to have to collaborate right across the industry, across this country, to get that data so it's valuable in our advocacy efforts. Shall we keep using the EY?
It's all we've got at the moment,
Yeah.
and Sam's here, and I know we've got some other data coming out towards the end of this year, but I think that's the main piece that we're referring to, but as you acknowledge, it's years old at this stage, so we do need to look for new avenues to get that. I think, though, having the one organisation now rather than data being collected from a number of different organisations is going to make it a bit easier for collating and collecting. So hopefully we can look at other avenues like we were talking about today, about who else could we possibly work with the endorsement of the government, with the criteria that they might agree on, that we can then go and start sourcing through other avenues. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Something on my to-do list.
So from a membership perspective, I guess we would appreciate any help you can give us on identifying new opportunities and I nearly said putting pressure on people. We probably shouldn't put pressure on people, but just there are a lot of elements of this industry that we don't currently engage with, and I think it's going to be really important as part of this continuing growth of the membership. So any help we can get from anybody would be greatly appreciated.
One other thing that I didn't mention earlier that was coming out loud and clear across the different meetings I've had is, and it's just a given, is that the importance of networking, and I think COVID took that away from us almost completely. And so just even here today, having everyone in the room to network afterwards and chat to each other, but looking at new ways to help those networking groups through us, whether it's young leaders or whether it's an industry-specific area. But that knowledge sharing seems to be something that really helps with personal development as well, and the skill bases. So that's come through in the advocacy piece. They're both givens that as an organisation and association we should be doing that at a foundation level. So please do enjoy the networking afterwards.
Okay, I don't think we've got anything else, have we, Spiro? You're not good. Were you? All right. You sure?
What we found before and during the pandemic is that we kept, as an industry, being included in the Tourism Australia. We're part of tourism, the business tourism and so on. But I think one of the goals of this new association should be that we gradually get in front of all governments to be acknowledged as contributors to the economy outside of tourism. Tourism is good that we bring tourists in, but we really generate a lot of business in the economy. So, I remember talking to governments, ministers in years past, saying we need a minister in one day in the future for events or business events. That's the ideal thing. But I think we want to make sure that we don't continually get enveloped in the Tourism Australia umbrella, and then we lose some of our sort of importance, if you like.
Yeah, look, and that has evolved a lot over the last few years, I think, and Tourism Australia and Business Events Australia, so they, Pip at Tourism Australia and Rob and Mac, who's sort of running the business events elements, they're actually genuinely interested and focused on the business events sector, which, historically that's always been a challenge for us. As I said, we've now got a table. We're sitting with the ACI, the Australian Chamber, in the tourism, the broader tourism task force space, but we're sitting genuinely as a sector. We're not sitting with tourism anymore. So we are making inroads there. It always depends a little bit on who's in government at the time and who's the understanding of the respective officials, but generally we've made a lot of inroads there, I think, and we'll just continue to drive that as much as we can. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate you being here. The drinks are on out the back. Sydney SCC, Jeff and your team, thank you very much.
Yes,
wonderful
thank you.
Hosts as usual, and really appreciate your ongoing support. Dom, you're doing a wonderful job, working 9 days a week. but he's done a great job to help us get to this point. So thank you very much for that.
Just a quick thank you also to Loop Events for helping us with
Yes.
our ticketing.
Loop
Thank you,
Events,
Simon
yes.
and team.
Also Sydney, Orlando Sydney, who's helping us with our photography.
Yep.
Thank you, Orlando.
And, a special thanks to Jeff and his team who've been exceptional as usual and stepped beyond the norm to make sure we're 100% right for tonight. So thank you very much, Jeff and your team.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.